Hello everybody and welcome back to the Linux Part 2 tutorial, Linux Commands Part 2 tutorial. Now, as you may see right here, I have two terminals open. One, I will just write the commands as we do them, and in the other one, I will put them in a text file. So I will open this commands.txt. You don't have to open this file, this is just for me so I know which commands I covered and which I didn't. And the other one, we will just test the commands in this one. So, before we begin, I just want to mention the command that we did in the previous video, which is the cd command. Now, you now know that it stands for change directory, and basically it just changes the directory to another directory from this terminal. Now, for example, let's say we want to go to the documents directory, we could just type here cd documents. But the question now is, if, for example, if you wanted to go one directory back, how do you do that? Well, there comes the simple command, which also starts with cd, but instead of typing here a directory, you can just here type two dots, which will basically lead you one directory back. So if I press enter right here, it will lead me back to the previous directory, to the root directory. As we can see right here, print working directory, we are again in the root, and if we type ls to list the current folders and files in this directory, we will once again see the documents right here. So, basically, just wanted to mention that you can change directory with the cd command, and you can also go one directory back. So, for example, if you had, let's say, a directory in the documents directory, I just created it with mkdir command. We also covered that in the previous video, stands for make directory. You can see that now in the documents directory we have another directory, which I basically called just directory. And also, let's go to that directory, and you can see that our current path right now is /documents/directory. Now, in order to go back two directories, you can just type here two times cd and then two dots, and then cd and then two dots. And now we are going to be back once again in the root directory. So, now that we got that out of the way, I'll just type it right here so I know I covered that command, and we will clear the screen for the next command. Now, this one is a simple command. For example, if you wanted to check out on which account are you currently, which most likely you will be on the root account, you can just type here command which basically does what it says. It's who am I. The command basically just asks who is the current user of this terminal, and right now, as we can see, it is root. You can just read it from here. If you don't need to even write this command, you can just read it from this first word right here, which will most likely be root unless you have another account, which we will cover in some of the next videos, how to make another account, which could be useful because we do not want to run all our programs as a root user. It can be dangerous. So in another video we will cover how to make another user, which you could use for some potentially dangerous programs. So now I will just write it right here. This is not really that useful command, but in case you forget, or in case a user is named something differently than root, you can just check here with whoami command. Now there is a command that I used in the previous videos but never really explained what it does, and right now we will cover it. It's an important command, especially if you're running some of the programs or downloading the programs which are not executables, and you, for example, want to make them an executable so you can run them in your terminal. Now, in order to demonstrate this command, I will just go and make folder called programs. As we can see, it is right here, and I will change my directory into that program. Right now I will basically just create a simple Python program. That simple Python program we can just call program.py. Doesn't really matter. And right here I'll just code a simple addition program. Just give me 1 second. It doesn't matter at the moment what am I doing, but we will be also covering Python later on. For example, enter first number, B will be, for example, enter second number, and C will equal A times B. Now this is simple to understand. We basically ask for an input for two numbers, and we'll be just making an addition and storing it in C. And then we can basically just print that number, that C number, the result. So we'll just type here result equals to, and then plus string from C. I hope this works. It should probably work. So we have here a program called program.py. Now it is a Python program, but you might notice that if we try to run that program, and you do that by typing here dot and then slash and then the name of the program, you will notice that it won't work. It will say permission denied. Now, why is the permission denied? Well, if we use a command, let me just clear a screen right here. If we use a command that we covered previous video, which is ls -la, we can see all of the files in the current directory, also the hidden files, and also our program.py. Now, what interests us here is this part right here. Basically, these are just modes that are enabled for this file. R stands for read, W stands for write, and X stands for execute. Now you might notice that in our program.py we don't have an X, which stands for execute, therefore we cannot really execute that program. In order to make that program executable, we want to type here chmod plus X and then the name of the program. Now if I click here enter and type here lsla again, you can see now that the program changed its color, and not only the color, it also added the X, which stands for, as I said, executable. You can see the difference from here and from here, and that's how you can check if the program is executable or not. So now let's clear the screen. Now if you wanted to, you can run the program. It will ask us enter first number, let's say 3, enter second number 4, and it will say result equals to 12. Now this command is important and you should learn it. Be used to make any program that is not executable and executable. So now that we got that command out of the way, I will just remove this. Well, actually I will leave it right here. Maybe we will use it for another command, such as cat. Let's cover that command right now. Cat, basically, the command cat stands for, well, not stands for, it basically just prints out the contents of the file into our own terminal as an output. So if we type here cat and then the name of our file, for example, if you just type, it will just print out the code that we just typed, as you can see right here. It can be used so you don't really open the file in order to read it like this. You can just print it out in the terminal with cat command, and it will just print out all the contents from the file. Now, that is not the main use of this command. Basically, the main use of this command would probably be in some of the bigger files where you just want to find a certain thing in them. Now, in order to demonstrate what I mean, we will combine the cat command with another command called grep. Now, basically what grep does is, if you want to list, for example, a huge file with a bunch of words, and from that huge file you want to put aside all the words that contain, for example, password in them. Now let me just demonstrate. Maybe it's easier if I demonstrate it. Now we will create in programs file another file which will be called words.txt, and here we will just type here a bunch of words and then 1, 2, 3 password, 1, 2, 3, then a bunch of words, and for example A, B, C, password X, for example, and then a bunch of other random stuff. Now if we save this file, ctrl-O to save, enter to save under that name, and ctrl-X to close, we can see that right here we have that words.txt file. Now, in order to see the contents of that file, as I said, we can type just cat words.txt and we will see all of those words. Now, here we can basically with our own eyes find all the words that contain password in them. But let's say, for example, let's say, for example, that this file was much bigger with millions and millions of words. You couldn't possibly just go through all of those words and just find by yourself all of those commands, and not commands, all of those words that contain password in them. So what you want to do is combine the cat command with the grep command. How do we do that? Well, basically we just start off the same command, cat words.txt, and then we basically pipe the grep command. How do we pipe? Well, basically this straight line, just type it right here, and then you type here grep, and then the word that you want to be contained in the other words. So, for example, password in our case. Now, what this will do, it will list all the words that contain the word password in them. As we see, it only listed 2 words, which is ABC password X and 123 password 123. So, it is also a very important mix of 2 commands, which you will be using a lot. At least I am using it a lot in my case. So, let's continue with another command, which can be right now echo. Basically, echo, you can just use it to add, for example, a word into another file without opening it. So, for example, we want to add John as a word into file words.txt. So you just type echo John and then this arrow that points to right and then words.txt. As you can see, the command worked, and right now if we cat words.txt, it will only be John. Now, you might be asking, where did the other words go? Well, if you use the echo command, it will basically, how do I say that? It will rewrite the entire text file. So from those bunch of words, it basically deleted all of them and just put John in there. Now if we use another word, let's say echo Jake into words.txt, and we cat once again words.txt in order to see, we can see that John is no longer there, it's only Jake. So let me just type here the echo command. One more thing you want to know, which I probably should have mentioned at the beginning, and it is really important, is this command right here, apt update, and one second, apt upgrade. Now this basically is referring to your Kali Linux repositories, and it will basically just check for the updates from there, and in case there are some updates, it will download them and you can install the updates with the apt upgrade command. Now you want to run this command as you finish the installation of Kali Linux, but we will be doing that command in a next video because the apt upgrade command will take, after the installation, I believe about an hour in order to finish, because it will download just a bunch of other files and upgrade them, and I don't even know what not. It will just take a lot of time, that's what I know. So we will be doing that command at the end. So right now, if you, for example, want to check out the history of all of the commands you typed previously in this current session of terminal, you can just do that with the simple command which says history. And just print us right here all of the commands that I ran before. So, as you can see right here, these are all the commands that we ran before. It's not that useful, but you might need it sometime. I don't use it that much. Next command we want to do, let's say for example you want to copy the program.py file into another directory. So we'll just create another directory in this programs directory. So we'll call it test directory, for example. And now you can see that we have the test directory, which is blue, and the green program.py file, which is an executable. Now, you want to, for example, copy this file into the test directory. We do that with the simple cp command. Well, cp basically stands for copy, and you just type here the file that you want to copy, which in our case is program.py, and then you type here the directory you want to copy it in, and in our case it is test. So just press here enter, and basically, as you can see right now, if we change directory to test, we will have also a program.py there, and they're basically identical. So if we get this program.py in test directory, then we go one directory back and get here a program.py, they're basically identical because we copied them. So let me just put here a cp command. We finish that command. But let's say, for example, you didn't want to copy that file. Let me just delete it from the text directory. You wanted to move it. It is no longer here. You wanted to move it from programs directory into test directory. You do that with mv command, which stands for move program.py, and then the directory where we want to move it, so test in our case. You can see right now, if we type here ls in order to list all the files, we can see that the program.py is no longer here. It is now moved to the test directory. So we type here ls in the test directory, and now it is only here. Now, this command can be used for two things: in order to move files from one directory to another directory, and in order to rename files. So for example, if I type here move program.py, and then I don't specify a directory where I want to move it, but I specify another name for the file, so let's say another name.py, which is not a directory, it is a file, it will rename the program.py into another name.py. As we can see right here, there is no program.py, now the program is called another name.py. And if we cat it right here, we can see that it is the same program that we typed before. So it is also important to know that it can be used for two things, which is rename and move, just so you know. And now we can basically, right now, we can cover some of the more basic commands, such as man. Now, this command basically is used for opening a manual for any other command. So if we type here man cat, it will open us a file which will basically give you all the options available for the cat command. As you can see right here, it can be used for any other command. So basically, if you type here man cp, it will open up a manual for the cp command, where you can see what else you can do with the cp command. As it says right here, copy files and directories. Now, for example, you can type here man history. Now, I don't know if it has, yes, it has the manual for the history. It basically has manual for all the other commands. These manuals are already pre-installed on the Linux. You will have them with the installation of it. So you can just check out if you forget what some command does or something like that. You can just type here man and then grep, and it will basically open you up with a manual, and you can just read right here and use the command. So now that we got that out of the way, you will be using manual a lot in the programs later on, which you do not know how they work. So you will be opening up a lot of manuals in order to find out the command that you need to use in order to run that program. Also, if we, for example, wanted to, let's say, locate some of the files, we, for example, forgot where we saved the file, and we want to locate it, we can do that with a simple command called locate. So let me just try here with another name.py. If, for example, yeah, I don't think it will work like this. I'm not really sure why. But for example, you want to locate every file in the system which has Word in it, you can just type here locate, and you will see that it will print up a bunch of these files, and they all have, in some of the part, they have a word in it. So let's see right here. As you can see, this file has a word in it right here. So Kali -pass word, and then something else, all of these files will have a word in it. So let's say you want to locate everything that has word list. It will also print out all the files that have word list in it. As you can see, word list, word list, word list, then word list.list, and so on and so on. So we covered that command as well. Now, this is about it for this tutorial, and in the next one we will cover some of the commands which are more towards the system that you are using. So for example, in order to check some of the system settings, you will be running the commands that I will show you in the next video, such as for example shutdown, ps, uname, restart, reboot, and so on and so on. I've configured a bunch of those network commands, so you should learn these. You should remember, like, these are some of the more important commands that you will be using all the time. And that's about it for this tutorial. I hope I see you in the next one. Bye.